Welcome back into the Fourth Man podcast. It's a pleasure to be back here. As always, I'm Anthony, and I'm alongside the best Big 3 account in the universe, Big 3 News, aka Will. How you doing, my guy? You're doing some big things over there.
I am doing some big things. Let me just say a little bit of background information. The person in the second half of this interview is completely and unrecognizable from the person in the first half of this interview. We were recording this about a week
Yeah,
after
had some
the second
difficulties.
half of this, which is fine. It doesn't matter. We adjust on the fly. That's what we do. That's what good podcasters do. You adjust on the fly. And let me just say, from a life perspective, from a sports perspective, from a fan perspective, I'm a completely different human being.
From last week. Let's also remember that we were recording that during the Giants Bucks game, so that I'm sure that changed your mood a little bit there. But we have a great show for you guys. But as always, if you want to find the show on social, it's at Fourth Man Pod. Obviously, Big 3 News, and if you want to find my personal, it's at @A_Siggy. And if you're listening to this on Dash Radio for the first time or you're a repeat listener, we appreciate you guys as always. We always debut the shows the day of Dash Radio episodes. So it's the first time for everyone listening. We just appreciate all those who have tuned in or continue to tune in or just want to check out the show for the first time.
And we're everybody watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say we're on YouTube now, so we can say things like subscribe, make sure you hit that like button.
Like, comment, smash that like button.
Yeah, or what does one YouTuber say? She said something weird like smash that like button or something. Yeah, everyone's got their own interpretation of somehow making the subscribe button a cool thing. For us, we're just going to stick with the original. We'd appreciate anyone who subscribes or like our content, to like any of the videos and whatnot. But we do have a great show for you guys, but we do have a little bit of news because as is with the world, a lot of things are going on. There's also a lot of things going on within the basketball world, whether it's Big 3 or how it correlates to the NBA. So let's start with the two guys from the Big 3 that are transitioning kind of back into the NBA, but as coaches here. We obviously know that Jannero Pargo of the championship team Triplets was a assistant for the Portland Trailblazers there and was doing both. And now we've seen guys who were either previously playing in the Big 3 or were playing in the Big 3 as recently as last year, making that move as well. We saw Chauncey Billups, formerly the captain of Killer Threes, become an assistant of the LA Clippers. And we saw Stat team up with his old coach and his old point guard in Brooklyn as an assistant coach there or a player development coach there. But Will, just first impressions of those moves. Obviously, you got ties to Brooklyn Nets there. So I'm sure Amar'e Stoudemire coming to the team is pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you what, let's just break it down from a Brooklyn Nets perspective to begin with. Those are going to be some crazy practices. I mean, you have Steve Nash, Amar'e Stoudemire, Ime Udoka. I believe Royal Ivy, I believe the gentleman's name.
Oh, I did remember seeing that.
Yes,
and then D'Antoni.
Yes, and D'Antoni. But forget D'Antoni. Those are all guys who, if you probably put them on a roster, they'd probably be 8th seed in the East. Nash, Stoudemire.
Yeah, I could see it.
Those guys, Jack Vaughn too. So honestly, I'm super excited. I think Stat is going to be great because the Nets need sort of guys like Stat to develop, the Jared Allens, the Nick Claxtons, the Rodion Kurucs, guys like that. So I think Stat's going to be great. He's going to be the head of player development for Brooklyn under Nash. So I think it's great. I think he brings a whole new level, and I'm really happy to see somebody who did so well in the Big 3 get it. To be honest with you, I thought if Amar'e Stoudemire was getting back to the NBA, especially after he just won Finals MVP in Israel, I thought he was going to be a player. But
yeah, I did too, because they were looking at him last year. They were having some free agent looks alongside Joe Johnson, and one of the names was Amar'e Stoudemire. So
yeah, for like Miami, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, I mean, the Big 3 is a platform for guys to get back into the NBA. That's one of the things they do. But now we kind of open up the realm of possibilities. Like, and you mentioned this on your Instagram page there, that is the Big 3, kind of not just a platform for players to get back into the NBA, but also to potentially coach at some point. And it looks like that the question or the answer to that question is yes, because we've seen now 3 guys are doing it. It's pretty impressive. It's a lot of fun stuff. So I think the biggest thing is that, now the Big 3 is not only a platform for guys who were kind of ousted by the NBA, kind of in the twilight of their careers and want to continue to play, or for those older prospects that aren't getting looked at like they want to and want to play professionally, or now want to potentially coach. So they work as a captain, GM, or maybe they just want a front office role. They work as a captain, GM.
That's true. We saw Jason Terry, right?
Yeah.
Be the assistant GM for Dallas's G League team. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I think I agree with you. I think that the Big 3 has sort of become just a platform where guys, it doesn't hurt to be on national television every week throughout the summer, and I think the Big 3 offers, especially these captains, a rare opportunity to sort of get a lot in, right? So we know that coaching the Big 3 is a group effort. We know that along with just the coach, it's also a lot of the captains and a lot of the vets on the bench, sort of just in a group effort, which is what the NBA is sort of becoming, right? And we also, too, the captains and have an opportunity to get their hands dirty with roster construction.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a trial. So if guys are really good at it, or it's definitely something to put on a resume. I don't know if you're going to be hired just based off of Big 3 stuff. I think connections absolutely help, but I don't think it's I definitely don't think that it's a coincidence that 2 guys who were captains, or I should say co-captains, because Amar'e Stoudemire wasn't fully a captain, but 2 guys who had a direct hand in roster construction in the Big 3 as well as coaching, now have these opportunities in coaching staffs in the NBA. And I think it's just absolutely, it just gives guys more experience in roles that maybe aren't for the typical basketball NBA player, right? Where you show up, you're in the locker room, coach tells you what to do. Okay, cool, got it. It's such a collaborative effort, and it really gives guys opportunities to sort of reach out of their comfort zone.
Right.
So
and look,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, look, this is a complimentary league. This is a league that's also hasn't played since 2019 and won't play until 2021. You got to continue to make this thing enticing, or as enticing as you can. So you got to continue to add different aspects on how you can not only get fans to watch, but also get players to buy into this and say, why is this something I still want to involve myself in? You guys haven't played in a couple of years. So this is just another way that, let's just look at it this way. DeMar Johnson looks like he could be GM of the year, all 3 years in the Big 3.
Oh my God.
Now I'm looking at this as like, maybe he needs to be in like a front office role there. We see a guy like, as recently as Elton Brand, a player in the NBA for a long time, solidifying himself as a general manager. So
who's in Phoenix right now? What's his name?
What's his name?
Mike Jones? Is that his name?
No, it's the guy who played with LeBron all those years. James Jones. James Jones.
There we go. James Jones.
Yeah. So yeah, another guy, another great example. Ooh, Mike Jones. No, I don't think. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I did that.
But besides Amar'e Stoudemire too, let's look at the other side of the country, which is Chauncey Billups in LA. So now I believe he's a lead assistant for Tyronn.
He's got a big time role.
A big time role. So he's going to be on the bench, I believe, every night with Tyronn Lue. So that is such an interesting, from an NBA perspective, the Clippers are in such a interesting situation.
You're talking about bringing CP3 back potentially.
Oh my God. I mean, they could go in so many different directions, and you're going to need guys like Chauncey Billups, guys who are universally respected, right? Guys who have experience. And by the way, I don't know if I've ever said this on this podcast. I probably haven't, because this is really a conclusion that I came to this week. We don't talk about Chauncey Billups' ring enough, right?
We don't ever. I mean, I think
we don't. Like 2004, we do not talk about.
Do you mean
enough, right?
us two, or just
the world? The world. We act like it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was an incredible season.
Do the kids growing up know that Kobe and Shaq lost in a finals to the Detroit?
Probably not, because that's something that when I first started loving basketball, that was like one of the first championships I remember, really.
Because I mean, we completely glorify 2008, right? Which is Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. I didn't think it's possible, right? That type of thing. We're like, well, they beat Kobe, so but really, what's the difference between what they did and then what Chauncey Billups did?
I would argue that maybe it's more impressive at what they
because
did.
they also beat Shaq.
Yeah, exactly. And with the squad they had, not this is not to disregard the type of players that the Pistons had, but we were in '08. We were like, oh, the big three. It's like, well,
right. That was a very well
we
constructed.
bring
team.
KG in, we bring Ray Allen in. We got all these guys. Whereas the Pistons, it was kind of just like it's like levels to this.
Brian Scalabrine.
Right. Yes, can't forget the White Mamba there. But it was, for the Pistons, it was kind of like, they were continuously adding pieces to the puzzle, and ultimately they finally figured out the right roster construction to make this team work. But you're right. Yeah. He was the key to everything.
Here's the question of the hour. Where am I going with this?
And where are you ever going with things?
What I'm going with this is
it's the question of the whole podcast.
If there's anyone who knows how to get the most out of the group that you're with, it's Chauncey Billups.
Yes.
I mean, this man has, wherever he goes, right, he has just been an absolute pleasure. Everyone loves him. He's a great teammate. They loved him in the Big 3. They loved him in New York. They loved him when he was in Detroit. They loved him where I believe he was in Denver, right?
Yeah, they love him as a commentator, an analyst.
Exactly. So he is someone that he's almost like the combination of an assistant coach and a vet.
Mm-hmm. And I think players are going to be very receptive to the type of knowledge he's dropping.
Yeah. And then finally, the guy who we really can't say the Big 3 got him this job because he's had this job is Jannero Pargo.
Yeah.
In Portland, who is a very well-respected coach. A lot of the things that we echo about Stat and Chauncey Billups are the same thing with Pargo. I mean, I saw that he tweeted a photo, or I shouldn't say tweeted. I think he posted on Instagram a photo of him and his brother, like a painting that he had done. And if you
I saw that.
It's like Chris Paul and all of these notable NBA, not only players and stars, but like union leaders and stuff. Pargo is a very well-respected guy. I mean, you just look Dame, CJ. So it's going to be, and these are, I also love too this, Pargo, Billups, Stoudemire. You have Portland, Clippers, Nets. Those are 3 teams that are going to be competing for a championship next year. This isn't just someone sitting and we're like going to be like, oh my God, that's right. Like he's in
Charlotte.
Right. Well, if Charlotte gets Westbrook, then,
that's another different conversation.
But no, but so I'm just super excited that these guys are number one going to be in the limelight again. And I hope that, every time they're on TV for the Big 3's sake, I hope they're like, oh, what were they doing? They were in the Big 3, especially Stoudemire and Parker.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is I'm happy that the teams that they're on, the specific teams, because it's in very good situations. It's under rookie coaches, except for Terry Stotts in Portland, but that's more of an established thing. So that's sort of the exception to everything I'm going to say. But these guys have an opportunity to really, make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
In these new fan bases. So I'm just very excited. I think this is great for the league overall.
I do too. And selfishly, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but it's great for the Big 3. It's just another way that the Big 3 can be mentioned alongside, not trying to compete, but just alongside, complementary to what the NBA is doing. I think Joe Johnson did a good job of trying to establish himself last year when he, had an amazing summer there. And I think now that these 3 guys can do it as well. So hats off to them, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Listen, too, you have Pargo, right? You have Stoudemire, you have Chauncey Billups. You don't think they're saying, listen, if we need a vet wing, I just had to guard Joe Johnson in the Big 3.
That's facts.
You know what I mean? The last time that we played. So I can vouch for him.
Or any of those guys.
Or right. It doesn't have to be Joe Johnson. Anybody.
Right.
If you're going to ask, listen, every Big 3 player that we've had on this podcast, I've yet to find one guy that's like, yeah, it is what it is. No, everyone's like, no, this is a tough competitive league. I respect everyone's talent that's in that league.
Yeah.
They're not just saying that. They believe that.
Right.
So if who's the Clippers GM? Is it still Jerry West?
No, it's not Jerry West. He's involved with that team, but I can never remember his name. I feel like he's the guy that gets overlooked.
Well, whoever. Jerry West goes to Chauncey Billups. Sean Marks goes to Amar'e Stoudemire. Like, listen, we're thinking of getting this guy, but one of his major things, or he's been floating around overseas, but I see that you played him in the G League, or excuse me, in the Big Three. What, can you vouch for him? And is this a legitimate thing? Is this a
Yeah.
legitimate measure of his talent? And the answer is yes. So I think this is a great sign. As many guys from the Big Three that we can get involved back into the NBA community is perfect for the league.
No, I agree. I think that's you hit every point to make this sensible and why this is such a great move. And I think again, it's just another pathway for Big Three players, potentially Big Three players to turn into coaches or get back into the NBA. I think there's a lot of good things that can come out of this, and it's great to see. And so hopefully
you're supposed to argue the opposite.
Nope, I'm not gonna.
You're supposed to say
I'm not gonna.
Terrible for the league.
I don't wanna.
The NBA is siphoning talent from the Big Three.
What? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that because you know why? Because I've been in a good mood. I had a birthday earlier this week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And so, I'm still kind of living off the birthday high while I'm in my 20s. Maybe when I'm in my 30s, I won't be. But
did you see? Oh my God! Did you see the mess up with Craig Smith? Did you see the Craig Smith?
We have the same birthday.
Scandal?
Craig Smith and I. Yeah, I did see the mess up though. That was unfortunate. Where did you get the idea that his birthday was the day before?
I'm not gonna out my source like that because I think it was a genuine mistake and it wasn't
But you didn't think let me fact check that?
I mean, to be honest with you, it was someone that I thought would know.
Fair. Yeah, your sources are kept secret, right?
If your wife, which it wasn't Craig Smith's wife, but if your wife, the only reason that I knew it was your birthday was because your wife put it on Instagram.
Fair.
Posted. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Anthony.
So you're not following Craig Smith's wife, is what you're telling me?
I'm not following Craig Smith's wife. But sort of someone a similar thing. Like I saw they were celebrating Craig Smith's birthday. All right, cool, got it. Why would they be celebrating? And then Craig Smith's like, it's not my birthday.
Well,
and I was like, well, let me be the first.
I just wanted to be extra early to tell you happy birthday. Yeah, me and the Black Rhino are sharing a birthday, so I thought that was pretty cool. It seems like November 10th seems to be more of a popular birthday than I realized.
I just saw a chart actually. It's funny you say that. I saw a chart that's like how popular is your birthday, rated.
I didn't know that.
To 366. And I was 250.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. I only say that I feel like it's popular because me, Craig Smith, I know me and my dad have the same birthday. We share a birthday.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of those weird coincidences.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I just was like, maybe everyone's just born on November 10th. I don't know. Maybe you're born on November 10th and you're just not telling it.
Well, then you didn't wish me a happy birthday then.
Well, you wish Craig Smith happy birthday on the wrong day. So
I
was punishing you.
I didn't wish him after. I wished him before. So it's
I said it was on the wrong day, so I'm punishing you for you get your birthday wish later in the week. and leave it to Will to make sure that we get completely off topic. No, I'm just kidding.
You want to, I mean, we have a lot. Obviously, we're going to touch on a lot in the roundtable, but I guess just another thing too we can touch on is sort of adding a little bit of silverware to the collection is Glenn Davis.
Yeah.
And Sway Lee, right?
Yeah, and the Crew League.
The Crew League. I had never heard of the Crew League.
I had never heard of it either until Jermaine Taylor. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the first I'm hearing of it is Jermaine Taylor's posting on his Instagram story that he hit this crazy game winner, which I look and see. Which, by the way, I think there was a scandal in the Crew League.
Oh. Is that something that you found out on your own or just someone?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of digging, right? Which is basically I just clicked through everybody's Instagram stories. And I saw that shot that Jermaine Taylor hit to send them to the championship game. He was with Russ. He was on Russ's team.
Mm-hmm.
Not Russell Wilson. And
Russ, like the rapper Russ.
Russ the rapper.
Don't let that Russ cook.
Yes. And basically, so Jermaine Taylor hits the game winning shot. They go to the championship, which I believe they play Glenn Davis and Sway Lee.
Okay.
But it turns out I also saw Jermaine Taylor putting on his story that people were like, the point totals were incorrect. Like you took points away. We had 5 points, but so something happened where there was a little bit of a controversy. Luckily for us, remaining neutral, even though you and I are big Jermaine Taylor guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it is unfortunate to see the crew league season come to an end like that. But we are happy for our guy Glenn Davis, who at this point
100%.
he's just collecting silverware everywhere he goes.
Everywhere. I mean, he's got a championship. You put him in a basketball jersey, even if it doesn't fit him very well, and he's winning championships. Doesn't seem to matter. So
that's
wait,
the other thing too. Him versus clothes continues to be a struggle.
Yeah, I got to witness that firsthand in Atlanta there in the Big 3 games.
You caught the pants, right?
No. The guy who caught the pants. The guys who were fighting over the pants. That's still a strange thing to me. I'm definitely not one. I don't want anyone's pants, but I definitely don't want Glenn Davis's pants. I'll tell you that. Wait, so you're telling me that the Jermaine Taylor shot, the game winner,
Yes.
that didn't count for anything?
Championship. No, that was to send them to the championship game.
Okay, gotcha.
Then in the championship game, there was some sort of like point tallying discretion.
Okay.
There was some sort of miscommunication as exactly who had the points. There was a certain number of points. I want to say it was like 3 or 5 that were missing according to Russ's team. I wasn't there. I can't, it was apparently sponsored by TikTok, so I'm surprised I wasn't there because, as you know, I'm pretty big on TikTok.
Yes, we know. Very popular. They're using your videos and stuff.
But, so I don't know.
Well, it sounds like the Crew League was a success from a Big 3 perspective.
I wish I would have known about it.
I wish I would have known about it a little bit more too. Yeah. I will say maybe they need some different statisticians. We could potentially do that.
I'll
be a stat guy
for the Crew League. Yeah, I'll be a stat guy. Absolutely.
This sounds cool.
I used to do stats. And
I did too, but I was like
7-year-olds.
I was writing articles, but when you write for high school games, they don't give you any stats.
What? So how do they know who won?
People on their team keep stats. I mean, just in terms of individual players, not like scoreboard.
Oh.
But point totals or how many yards you throw for.
How fugazi is that?
Super. I mean, that's just high school sports. Unless maybe I was just in. Yeah, so I was having to keep up with all those stats. I was pretty much having to say what was credited as like an assist, which is like the hardest thing to even understand what is and what isn't. But yeah, I've kept stats, but I was also trying to do a story, so it was pretty tough times there. But my point being, we both have statistician experience. We should definitely do that for the Crew League. There won't be any discrepancies. That being said, I think one more thing that we should touch on before we get into this roundtable, we kind of talk a little bit about everything from the Big 3 to the NBA. We see Will a little bit more upset than usual, but
about my soccer team.
Yes, that's. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
I don't remember what my soccer team got relegated. Relegated to the point where I don't think they're on television anymore. So.
Yeah, I remember that kind of upset you a little bit, so I didn't want to bring that up again. But
and when I say my soccer team, I don't mean it like like how Anthony says my Rockets. I mean like I own this. I'm the part owner of this soccer team, so there are financial implications.
Right.
So it's been a tough week, which is why now is never a better time than to support us on Patreon, so that we can sort of get back into the promotion.
Yeah, or Anchor.
Channel. Sure.
Help out with those financial implications of Will losing the soccer team.
We're just trying to get back to the Premier Division.
I got faith. I got faith in you guys.
The Rebels.
So one last thing, like I was saying before we get into the roundtable, is I think we should touch on this because it has implications on the Big 3, is that the fact that the NBA has, I guess, officially decided that they're going to start their season on December 22nd, start training camp on December 1st, which bodes good news for the Big 3, because what we were hearing is that December 22nd or January 18th or so was going to be the start day. They were kind of deciding between. So which means that the season will end a little bit earlier and the Big 3 can maybe fit somewhere in between that championship of the NBA and the start of the NFL season that we don't want to compete with.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything better than this.
No, I mean, I could have asked for some better things.
Okay, fair.
But,
In terms of the Big 3 season.
yes, but this was the best case scenario with everything laid out.
I'm sorry, that got me more than I should have.
but honestly, exactly. Here's the deal. We were going to have to make a decision either way. Are we going up against the NBA playoffs to start the season, or are we ending the season up against the NFL? My personal opinion, especially with the way the NBA itself performed against the NFL, you don't want to go up against football, even college football for that matter.
Right.
That is, if you're playing on a Saturday. But so it's good. So now the NBA will be over by Olympics, which I believe Olympics were starting July 22nd.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know that it's been kind of up in the air.
And then football starts normally
kind of in that like September range.
Yeah, like first or second week in September.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically have a month that you're missing. So the school of thoughts are you spread it out like you normally would, and again you're just deciding your last month is going to be against the NFL and college football, or your first month is going to be going up against the NBA playoffs, or the school of thought that I happen to subscribe to, Anthony, I don't know about you, but I think just from conversations that we've had, you seem to agree, is I think you change the schedule and you play multiple games a week. You shorten the season.
Yeah, I think that's best case scenario there. Yeah. I mean, and here's to think that potentially we could have a Big 3 bubble still. So,
right.
If that is the case, you don't want guys waiting a week to play different games and being in this bubble for the rest of the week, training or kind of just being bored out of their mind. So yes, I do think that playing twice a week would probably be their best way of getting the most viewership, most people tuned in. What do you think about the Big 3 competing with even preseason football? Because everyone is kind of against preseason football anyways. Do you feel like it's still kind of hitting that fine line where could spell some trouble for the Big 3?
I mean, they were going up against preseason football anyway.
Yeah.
Right? August.
I guess so, yeah.
I really don't think, it is what it is. If that's sort of the lumps you got to take. I think it's sort of impossible to avoid all of that. I would put preseason football, and, you're going to be like, what? But hear me out. I would put preseason football on the level of concern. I would put that almost closer to like baseball.
Okay. No, I think that's realistic.
Just because, and there's no avoiding that. Unless you want to do a weekday, and you basically just say the football can have the weekends, but we're going to play every, Wednesday night, Friday night.
And this is just a one-time thing, right? This is so like this kind of schedule is just going to be so the NBA can kind of get back to their original schedule. Is what I've heard, but I
don't know about that. I think the players really like this, and I think the league is going to do very well ratings-wise when they open Christmas week.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But do players really like that? I mean, like playing on Christmas week?
I think they're going to like it when the cap and everything goes up. I think the owners in the league.
Yeah, financially, yeah. I guess I should say, are the players' wives going to like that? Are the players' kids going to like that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Nobody cared. The whole stereotype was nobody cared about the NBA until Christmas anyway, right? That's what we've always heard.
Yeah.
And it's because by Christmas, normally your NFL team is probably done. And in Anthony and I's case, it was long before Christmas. But for most of us,
that was back in April. It was over.
Right. It was over before it started. But so honestly, I think they're going to take Christmas week, just like how Thanksgiving belongs to football. Christmas is going to belong to the NBA. They're going to go until late July, which I got to be honest with you, I liked having basketball on in the summer.
Yeah.
I really did.
I did too. And we were still getting basketball in the summer, but yes, I see what you're saying, like NBA basketball.
NBA
in the summer. But
yes,
the more basketball, the better always. And definitely playing in the summer was enjoyable. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting. I think that, just from what we've heard, that Ice Cube does want to have some kind of season this year, fans or not. So, I'm sure while there's a lot going on within the world and he's got a lot on his plate, I'm sure somewhere in his brain, there's a little bit of inclusion of the big three and how he's going to make it work. Maybe he's got other guys doing it for
I
him.
think there will be fans, even if they have to change the schedule. But like, I believe the expectation are there will be fans.
Yeah.
For the NBA, at least by the end of the season.
That's what I was thinking too.
By week 1. So even if, let's say, it's only, Portland, Indiana, Memphis, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Name me 5 cities, and even if those are where you have the games, just so you can get the fans in.
That's fine.
I'm really hoping that we're looking at a very much different situation come summer of 2021.
Yep. Well, they've been talking about a vaccine. I don't know. I try not to listen to too much reports or news, but they said it's been 90% effective. So take that for what it's worth. Nonetheless, I think that's all we got for this half of the episode. Like I said, we got a great round table. We had Will and I, and then we also had a couple other guys on there, and we just kind of shot the shit a little bit. And I think that in the past, I haven't been a part of any of the round tables, so it was good to kind of get on one of these and just kind of chop it up a little bit. So we appreciate everyone who tuned into this half of the episode and that is sticking around for the rest. Please continue to follow us on our social medias and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, like we said, we try to put a face to a name. So we appreciate everyone who tuned in, and thanks again. Peace. All right, let's get down to it. Roundtable edition number 3. First time I'm actually a part of it. And we got some recurring guests on here and some new guests on here. Obviously, we got Will, Big3 N3ws. Also got Steven, and we got Tommy, who's a recurring roundtabler for the fourth man here. Please have you guys on. How's everyone doing?
Good. Thanks for having
us. Doing all right. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having you on. So kind of just want to open the floor to you guys. Steven, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and just, fandom, what you know about the Big 3 and what you like about it.
My name's Steven. What's that?
Qualifications.
No, my name's Steven. Known Will and Tommy for a while. Big 3. Don't know too much, not as much as these guys, but I do pay attention to the NBA a lot. Sadly, I'm a Knicks fan, which is disappointing, but it's tough.
That was like a depressing end to the intro.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a Knicks fan,
I'm Steven, and I felt pain.
Well, I just had to get it out there, Get
I was picturing your face and like the tweet that says pain in it.
Yeah.
Right in the background.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, obviously you're well educated on the NBA, which, really ties in a lot to what the Big 3 is doing and really what it has to offer, especially now with the age limit being so open. And Tommy, obviously, we heard from you last time. We kind of talked a little bit about it, or I should say you, Will, and Danny talked about it on our last roundtable. What makes the Big 3 enticing and some guys who could potentially be joining. That's changed a little bit just because of what we know, the season canceling and whatnot. But just overall, impressions about the Big 3 right now for both, and this is for everybody, with the NBA kind of still deciding where or when they should start. What are your impressions on maybe when the Big 3 should start, or do you think they should coincide with the NBA?
I mean, I think it all depends on when the NBA starts. So if the NBA, because I know they said something about January. Well, they said something about December, and then now I think it's more January. If they start in January and then they end in like July or something, then I don't know. Because in my opinion, I think they should do it when the NBA is not happening. Because I thought the best thing about the Big 3 from the start was how it gave you basketball to watch when there was no other option to watch. And I feel like for a lot of people that don't know anything about the Big 3, other than the fact that people like Amar'e Stoudemire are in it, which some people might not be the reason for them to watch, having just basketball available when there's no other outlet for it, I think that's like a big thing that should draw people to it. So I think they should do it at a point where the NBA is not happening.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it'd be better for them to take advantage of the NBA not playing, see if they could get more guys from the NBA older to come play for them, even if it's just to do something while they're not playing in the league, just have something to do. And other people to see, like, there's some guys who they're on the older side. They may not be able to compete at the same level as they were in the NBA, but they still can. You see some good basketball and, see some guys who used to play for a team you root for, and it'd be fun.
Yeah, and it's really tricky right now because of that. I mean, with the big three, we're talking about a timetable that essentially started in May, ended in August, and now you're talking about the NBA potentially ending in July. You're always competing with MLB. You definitely don't want to compete with the NFL because I mean nobody's watching the big three if the NFL games are on. Hell, no one's
even
watching.
The NBA wants to compete.
Yeah, exactly. No one's even watching NBA Finals games.
Right.
And so it's really kind of trying to put a square peg in a round hole right now and trying to figure out what's going to be the best thing. I think for me personally, I mean, I think it'd be great if we could find a time where maybe we're kind of around like the summer league era for the NBA, because while you're still kind of competing with that, it's also a time where guys might finish the summer league and say, hey, no team is willing to sign me to a two-way or bring me into camp or something. Maybe I try to take the big three path. I'm talking mainly like seniors in college there. It just opens the door to potentially more prospects that could come to the big three and kind of take the quote unquote Joe Johnson route.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you really look at it too, this past season didn't even happen. So like a lot of these changes happened and then they didn't really get to play. So I feel like now in one way it kind of hurts just with COVID because they didn't have the opportunity to kind of showcase some of the things they were planning to do. But then on the other hand, now they have all this time to prepare. And when the time does come, I feel like if they utilize the changes that they brought about and the new people that are in the league, especially if some of them are younger, I think that'll, if they market it the right way and do all the right things, I think that will help in a big way, especially having all this time to prepare for it.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is a conversation that we've been having on this podcast and that other people have been having for probably the last 2 years or so. Is basically what direction is the Big Three heading towards? Is it trying to market itself as this is the place where you watch the basketball players that you grew up loving or that you miss still have an opportunity to showcase their abilities, and that's what they were for the first 2 seasons. But now there's a camp, I think, within the league and also outside of the league that wants to see the Big Three become this platform for guys who maybe didn't get an opportunity in the NBA. Because to put it plainly, there's a, and I believe this firmly, there's a surplus of basketball talent in this country. You look at other leagues, right? Like the XFL and the AAF. They tried to put in for all the guys who couldn't make the NFL, right? I remember those XFL commercials, like the guys who missed the NFL by an inch, right? And then they got it in. But the fact of the matter is the talent gap between an XFL player and a NFL player is huge. I don't know if the talent gap between an NBA player and a EuroLeague or an Israel or a CBA player is that wide. So I think there's a huge market for guys who could absolutely play entertaining basketball. And I think we saw it a lot this summer in the TBT. Guys like Joe Johnson, guys like DJ Kennedy, guys like Mike Daum, guys who sort of became these college legends and then just sort of faded away, or they chased big money overseas. I think the Big Three could really become a platform and an opportunity for these guys to showcase themselves to an American audience and then maybe even get back into the NBA.
But I think that also highlights too, kind of what I said before, as like they need to play their season when the NBA isn't going on, because you're right, like some of those people are really good and could play in the NBA, and we've seen that happen already. But it's like if you're playing those games and you're not really getting the attention that you deserve, then like the league's credibility in itself and the credibility and the ability of those players isn't as valued or like noticed. And I think those players deserve the opportunity to do things like that, because you said they are really good. And I think if they do it the right way, then I think years down the line, more and more people are going to go that route.
Yeah, and I think the thing that the Big Three really brings to the table, I mean, if you latch on with a team or you're drafted or you're a captain, that's opportunity. You're talking about 6 spots that are available, essentially probably like a 5-man rotation is usually what we've seen throughout the first 3 years. And so, and we're talking about guys like, we're still waiting for this to happen. But if a guy like, Isaiah Thomas, who we just did a Big Three play on, were to join, that's a guy that we really haven't seen play consistently or get a lot of opportunity. Now you're talking about a guy who gets to play 10 weeks and really showcase himself in this 3-on-3 league, and then see, or showcase himself to NBA teams and potentially sign on there. And and really show teams what they're missing. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think the thing that we've been probably speculating even more than when is the Big Three going to start in 2021 is what players are going to be joining. Will, you mentioned a few guys like Mike Dom is really enticing guy that would be fun to see. And Tommy, I know this is something that you kind of talked about last time on the round table, but just as we continue to progress through 2020, here are some guys, and this for everybody, that you would like to see in the 2021 season. I mean, we have yet to see that guy who's kind of sputtering through the NBA and then joins the Big Three and goes back to the NBA outside of Joe Johnson, really. So here are some guys you guys would maybe like to see.
Ooh, that's tough.
It's a loaded question.
But. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Steven, do you have any thoughts? I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
I'd like to see a guy. I mean, I know everyone likes him, J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
35 years old. He's a free agent. He just won a championship with the Lakers, but really didn't play at all in the playoffs and pretty much 0 minutes in the finals.
Yeah.
I could see a guy like him, if he doesn't get a contract, transitioning over. Like, he's already got a big image. Everyone knows who he is. And he's a good basketball player. So I could see him being a guy joining over, making a star of himself over there, like expanding his image.
Even like because you said you brought up the Lakers, like Dion Waiters, Philly Cheese. I feel like he has nothing against Dion Waiters. I think he's good, but I feel like he has no value anymore in the NBA. And I feel like if he came to the Big Three, he would just bring such like an excitement factor, and he would ball out. I feel like that would be such a great like spot for him to go.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys actually brought up both those names because I thought this would be kind of a fun little activity that we could try on this round table. And man, I sound like a teacher or something. I thought this would be a fun little activity we do for you guys, just a little warm up to get to know each other.
We're in our breakout group right now on Zoom.
Exactly.
More paint.
Yeah, that's not going to help us figure.
That's not. Yeah.
Neither is that Danny Dimes jersey. That's not going to help us either.
It's actually Eli. Actually.
Oh, okay.
2-time Super Bowl.
Not any
MVP.
Better.
Not
any better.
Not any better. Wow.
Wow.
Conversation for another podcast.
That will be addressed, but go ahead, Anthony.
Okay. So, the NBA Finals was ended, a few weeks back there, but a lot of the guys that we've talked about, over the past year and a half or so, some of them were on the end of those benches for both the Lakers and the Heat. So I thought we would just go through 5 names, and based on how the NBA Finals went, whether it's because they just won a ring or their playing time, throughout the playoffs leading up to the finals or whatever the case may be, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think it helped or hurt their chance of playing in the Big Three?
Okay.
Just in your own opinion. So we're going to start with Jared Dudley. That's one guy that I think we've mentioned a couple times, and we'll just go, I guess, clockwise. I guess we'll start with Will. We'll go Tommy and then Steven.
I mean, I think everybody knows my opinions on Jared Dudley. I think Jared Dudley could play in the NBA for another decade if he wanted to. I think he has set his goals pretty publicly that he wants to be in the front office or coach. So now if you look at that, if I'm now pitching the Big Three to him, I'm saying, well, if you become a captain, you have the opportunity to basically do both. So that might be a good starting point for him. But I think he's pretty adamant about staying within the NBA community, staying within that league. So I'm going to say that I didn't really think the chances were pretty high to begin with. But I'm going to say, especially since that they just won a ring and he basically, could absolutely do that role again for the next 10 years on that team, I think it probably hurt his chances.
I mean, I look at it in like 2 ways because Jared Dudley to me is a complicated player, and I'll tell you why. My favorite Nets team, well, my favorite basketball player right now is D'Angelo Russell, and that Nets team.
I told Anthony about this.
Yeah,
dang it! I was hoping to beat you to the punch on it, but no, go ahead.
I love D'Angelo Russell, and that team was just so fun to watch, and part of that was because of just like the energy that Jared Dudley brought. Not like when he wasn't even on the court, like just him being like on, like it was so clear that he was a leader in that locker room and like the leader of that team, like the vet presence. Like when you're a GM building a team, they always say you want to have like a vet presence, even if you have young guys, and like it was like a textbook example of that. So for Jared Dudley to come into the Big Three, I feel like I don't know if he would fit the not that because they don't really need like a vet role like that. Like they're all kind of vets at this point. I know younger guys are going to come in, but like right now, I feel like he would just kind of be one of the others. They're all very knowledgeable. But then when you look at it in another perspective, the last time we really saw him like play basketball, like really put in valuable minutes, was on that Nets team,
and he clamped Ben
and
Simmons.
He wasn't bad. So it's like, do you stay in the NBA? And like he said that he wants to do just like he said, I think there was a quote, I don't remember the exact quote. He was like, they kind of need me on this bench, like in LA, like I'm a big part into us like winning this championship. And he's probably right. But then in another respect, they're like, you look at it and it's like, could he also be a big part, like a shooter or just a rebounder or just bring energy into the Big Three? So I don't know if the finals helped or hurt him really. I think it could go either way. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to start off talking about what Tommy was saying. Like when he was on the Nets, he really brought a leadership presence to that team, whether it was playing or on the bench. I mean, you saw the videos. It was fun to watch the bench celebrations with the team. You know, like them all going crazy. It made basketball fun. You know, and even on the court, like Will was saying, he locked up Ben Simmons, and he started beef with Ben Simmons, and that was fun to watch. I mean, it
he
was
destroyed the
entertaining.
Sixers dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. You know, I think that's something everyone had fun watching a year ago or 2 years ago. And you know, also talking about what Will said, I know he probably wants to more stay in a role with the NBA. I really don't see him transitioning to the Big Three. I mean, with the leadership skills he brings, I'd see him more assistant coach, maybe working like front office. Will said head coach. I don't really think the finals helped or hurt him with anything. I mean, I don't really think he showcased anything because he didn't get any minutes. So I don't really know how that would determine what helps him or hurts him. But either way, I just don't see him going over. I see him staying with the NBA, whether he retires or signs with another team or stays with the Lakers.
Fair statements all around. I do want to say, you know, the Big Three has kind of been this coaching pipeline.
That is true.
Will pointed out. I mean, we see
That's
Gennaro Pargo in there. Now we got Chauncey Billups, Amar'e Stoudemire. So hey, maybe you just go in there and you just take like a year, maybe take that Brian Scalabrine role, like Mamba role, and just kind of.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's kind of what he does right now. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. You know what, Anthony? You might be onto something. You just might.
All right, let's just keep an eye out for it. All right, second guy.
Scal and Tommy are friends.
Yes.
That sounds like his podcast.
We've gotten drinks. Yeah. We've gone to apps.
So second guy is one guy that you guys already mentioned, and that's Dion Waiters. It looked like early on in the playoffs he was playing a little bit, and then, you know, obviously that dwindled off. But start with you again, Will. Help or hurt his chances playing in the Big Three?
I mean, I think he'd be a good fit in the Big Three. You know, I know Tommy said that I don't think he has any value. I think he definitely has value, especially on a vet min contract. But, you know, you're right. If that's, you know, listen, he went from Miami, right, to LA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he wasn't really getting a ton of minutes in Miami either before the whole getting high on the plane happened.
The gummies, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, honestly, it'd be interesting to see. I think he's a guy who, like J.R. Smith, who we brought up before, I think he'd be a good fit for the league. And I think he'd be able to showcase that maybe all of this extracurricular stuff is maybe hindering him a little bit too much. You know, I think guys might be overreacting a little bit. I think if he goes out in the Big Three, sort of has kind of like a Will Bynum-like season where he's just dropping, 15, 20 consistently, I think he could definitely benefit from a quick trip in the Big Three.
Bet he had lots of gummies on Halloween. On Halloween.
I mean, his prerogative.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, I just think, like, look at it like this. Like Will just said, he went from Miami to LA, and then he won a ring in LA. But after he was, sorry, my dog is making an appearance right now. After he went to Miami, the whole thing happened. Then he goes to LA and he gets no playing time. And I think he still can play. Obviously, he's not that old. Even for like the NBA old, he's not that old. So I think if teams are unwilling to sign him just because of maybe the extracurricular stuff or his attitude or the gummies, I think if you bring him into the big three, he I don't know, I just feel like he would bring just like an energy, and I think he would also help to bring in youth just to the league, just people that maybe are on the fence about if the big three can actually help them on the younger or the latter parts of their career. I think he would just kind of bridge that gap in a way.
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy he's someone I could clearly see like playing in the big three, whether it's because he's a free agent this year, whether no one offers him a contract and he still wants to play and try and showcase the skill he still has and get back to the league eventually. Um, the incident in Miami, I mean, I really don't think it's that big of an issue. If it was, I don't
Who
think
among
LA
us?
would have ever traded for him. You know, but I could see him going to the big three if no one offers him a contract. Like Will said, playing well consistently, putting up a lot of points, getting some confidence back, and then going back to the league and showing people like I can still play at a high level.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I wish would join just because I want to see, I want to see someone like Dion Waiters just come into the league and be like, hey, I just need to assert myself. I need to remind NBA GMs and coaches what I'm able to bring. And so, just he would be one of those guys I would like to see do that. And like you said, kind of bridge that gap.
I agree.
Third guy is Miami Heat legend Udonis Haslem. I know that he was kind of at the end of the bench, mainly as that vet or as another coach there, but don't know what his future holds after year 17. Help or hurt his chance. Losing in NBA Finals, I guess.
I mean, I think it probably helped his chances. I think the thing that's ultimately going to decide it is if Dwayne Wade joins. And I think sort of like how we saw Nate Robinson and Carlos Boozer sort of join together. I think those are two guys who are definitely going to want to hold that, who are definitely going to want to play together at some point, or at least play against each other, So I feel like if Wade joins, you're going to see, first of all, if Wade joins, you're going to see a whole pool of guys want to come in and play with him, but especially guys like Udonis Haslem. And honestly, I think he's one of those guys, he is older. Like, he already is the age of most big three players without even starting the big three yet. And we know there is a little bit of that, learning curve once guys join. So I don't know if he has enough left in him to fully, utilize his capabilities in the big three. But I'd love to see him as like a coach, or maybe if Wade joins, maybe if they give Wade an expansion team, which is what we've talked about, sort of like what they did for Gilbert Arenas, maybe Udonis Haslem will be his coach. That would be really fun to see. So yeah. I would say it probably helped his chances by losing this finals, because I feel like, he had that taste. He's like, wow, like I remember what it was like being in the finals, and it sucks that we lost. So I really, maybe he realized, he's like, I really love basketball and I'm really going to miss this when this is all said and done. And I don't want to go out with that being my final career accolade. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I think before COVID and everything happened, I'm almost positive that it was kind of like, I don't think he really said it, but it was like public knowledge that this was probably like Udonis Haslem's last year, because he's been riding the bench for a while now. But I mean, when you look at like Udonis Haslem, just, I mean, coming from me, started watching basketball like around like 12, 13 years old, biggest Miami Heat rider there is on Long Island. It was insane. Will calls me out for it all the time. But I mean, Udonis Haslem was extremely good. I mean, I think he's like the leading rebounder or something like that for Miami, or he's up there, definitely in a few categories. And I don't know, I think I disagree with Will a little bit, just in the fact that I think he could play. And I think he could do really good because, I mean, he's been on the team for so long, whether he's like a Jared Dudley, where he's just kind of, vocally a leader in the locker room, but also too, I feel like especially with this year's Miami Heat team, they were so tough. And like Jimmy Butler always talked about, like how in practice it was intense, like just like games to prepare for games. And I don't see Haslem as one to just like not be participating in that. I think Haslem, when you look at him when he was making those speeches on the bench and they were showing him yelling at everybody, I mean, he looks like he's in shape to me. And I thought he was ready to go. I actually said to Will and a couple of people before the final started, I wouldn't be surprised if, because of how big the Lakers are, if things went south, Udonis Haslam got a couple minutes just at the end of a quarter to get a rebound off a free throw or something. So I think he could help a team. I think I would not be surprised at all if Udonis Haslam went for the big three. I wouldn't be surprised.
Udonis Haslam. I think like with what Will said, if he's in the big three, I can only see him coaching. He's a guy he's been a leader on Miami for so long. If he wants to play still, I really only seeing it being for Miami, another team who's willing to take a chance on him. And if it's not that, I really don't see him playing big three. I really just see him, like Will said, hey, maybe I coach. If Wade joins, maybe I coach Wade's team. But other than that, I really don't see it happening, him playing big three. Or I could even see, like, if he retires, hey, maybe Spoelstra hires him, add him to his staff.
That's a good point.
It's a good guy to have. He's been there forever, so it's definitely a high possibility that happens.
Yeah, I could definitely see him maybe filling out to be someone kind of like Sam Cassell, maybe, a well-respected guy around the league, and then ultimately try to make his way up to being an NBA coach. Okay, so the fourth guy is JR. We kind of touched on JR a little bit. The last guy, I know he didn't play in the finals, but great ties with the Miami Heat, so he's going to be the one exception. And it's someone that he's kind of our Melo of last year, someone that we really want in the league, and that's Dwayne Wade. In any way or shape or form with the finals, him being tied to it, speculation throughout the summer, did his team losing the finals and just following his team through the bubble help or hurt his chances of playing in the big three?
I mean, I think, I've talked about this, I feel like, on every episode for the past, 5 episodes.
So we're going to keep talking about it, too.
Yeah, I'm not going to go on for too long, but I feel like Wade's seen his guys out there. He was live tweeting the finals. He was live tweeting Joe Johnson and TBT. That man wants to hoop.
Yeah.
So, I am very in the camp that Dwayne Wade may very well be. Honestly, I hate to say it, but the big three's gotta, you gotta step up now, because I think Dwayne Wade, we know, we were told on this very podcast, by who was it, right? Who
Robert Hite.
Robert Hite, but who else did we have on that was talking about Dwayne Wade? Month of Mo. Mo Charlo. Mo Charlo said that Dwayne Wade was this close to joining the TBT, he would have joined if it wasn't in a bubble. He said Dwayne Wade was going to join the TBT if it wasn't in a bubble.
Yeah.
So that to me means Dwayne Wade's going to join the TBT again unless the Big Three makes a better offer.
Right on the goal line there. Kind of like that Big Three TBT team. Oh, man, I'm sorry I brought that up. All right, Tommy.
That was good, Anthony. That was good. No, I'm listening. I mean, Dwayne Wade is, I feel like ever since the league started, Dwayne Wade's name has been, in a conversation. So I think it'd be good for the league. I think it would be good for Dwayne Wade. Just from what you can see, like Will just said, he kind of is always, openly talking about just, Miami. And I mean, if you were in Miami for as long as he was, obviously you're going to do that. But I just feel like, at some point while you're rooting for your team that you've played for your pretty much your whole NBA career, or at least the years that really meant anything, you get that itch a little bit again, and the big three is kind of, the best place for you to satisfy that itch, I guess. It's a weird thing to say. So that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, no, Dwayne Wade would fit well in the big three. I think it should happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. A guy like Dwayne Wade, such a fun guy to watch when he still played. When he was playing, probably one of the greatest shooting guards in NBA history. I mean, offensively, defensively, the guy did it all. I think he, like Will and Tommy said, I think he is urging to play. Just being so close with Miami during the playoffs, and like Will said, tweeting, all of that. I think he does really want to play, and I could see him joining. And I think him joining, Will said earlier, would lead a whole bunch of guys to, follow his lead, and do what he did if he ends up joining the Big Three, which would be fun for everyone to watch. And a guy of his caliber could open up a lot of opportunities for the league. So
Yeah,
Agreed.
we'll
100%.
see.
I think so
And-
too. And
yeah.
and I was gonna say, I think one thing I love about the Big Three too, and I think we've talked about this before, is that we're kind of getting to, as we get more players, we know a little bit more. It's fans now not just following the Big Three because of teams more so, or they have allegiances to teams. That's something we wish there was more, but we like it because we get to follow those players that we loved watching growing up, and we could continue to follow their basketball journeys. And basically what I'm saying is, while we want more fans of specific teams, I think it's fun not to have an allegiance to one team. And while we're on the topic of allegiance, I think we should address this. Tommy, you said you're a fan of D'Lo. You said you're a fan of the Nets. You said you're a fan of Miami. Let's hear it now. Who's your
Listen,
team?
Anthony.
Do you have a team?
This is
Timberwolves.
a very
Listen,
contentious.
Is it the
topic.
Timberwolves?
This is a
Listen,
very-
listen, Anthony. Let me just say this. You and Will are doing a great thing here.
This is how you know he's pissed.
I think my own blood is in this. My brother, comes on this podcast. So I always hope it blows up, becomes the biggest thing. But now,
Oh, now we
can't-
got
I can't-
issues.
No, I'm just kidding.
Are you subscribed?
I mean, listen.
Speaking of blowing up,
What?
we could use all the help that we can get. Are you subscribed
Yeah.
on YouTube and on
Every
Apple?
subscriber counts.
My subscribe. You know what? So back to the question. I think that there's a lot
That means
goes.
no.
I think that there's a lot that goes into my past with sports. But I'll say this to answer your question, Anthony. I'm a Nets fan. My favorite player is D'Lo. I feel as though that your favorite player can be on any team. I think that I just like D'Lo. I just like the way he plays. I think he's cool. Will, on the other hand, not to go back and forth, let me just put this out there. Like you just said, actually, it relates to the point you made about the Big Three. It's kind of cool how there's not like an allegiance to one team.
Mm-hmm.
Will has said dozens of times in the past that he is a fan of the league when talking about the NBA, and I think you can't do that in the NBA. You can do that in the Big Three, but you can't do that in the NBA.
I'm a fan of the association. I root for the success of the association.
No, yeah, see, that's not credible. But in
Like
the Big
Rob
Three,
Lowe in the NFL on the sideline with the NFL
But
hat.
I have a team though.
do you
No,
though?
no. Let me explain. Yes, I absolutely.
He's clearly got his allegiances.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know,
he's
yeah.
he's rocking the Giants jersey. He's got allegiances
let
to
me
teams.
explain the conversation that he's having an issue to. I was talking about something about, and Lord knows I love Mike Conley. I was talking about like Mike Conley or
God.
somebody,
Oh
and
my
Tommy
God.
was like, why do you even care? Like he's not on the Nets, and I'm like, bro, like I'm a fan of the league. Like I like following other players and stuff. He's like, you can't be a fan of the league. All this stuff, and that
There's
to me is the
guidelines to this.
preposterous thing I've ever heard from the guy who switches teams every 2 years.
No, listen, that's not true. See, this is where things get out of hand. I started watching basketball. I said before I was like 12, 13. Miami was crazy. So obviously as a kid, I gravitated toward Miami. Then this just makes me sound worse. Then Joel Embiid got big. I was like, I kind of like Philly. But ever since Will was always, this is on a serious note, Will basically started watching basketball probably around or like a year after I did. And that was right around when the Nets came to Brooklyn. And I vividly remember Will literally saying, I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan because I want to just like their new team technically.
I didn't want to be a Knicks
part
fan.
of
I
the
wanted
new
to get into
team.
basketball. I'm not really big with rooting teams where like you don't live near.
Yeah.
You want to be a Knicks fan,
No
Will?
offense to Steven. I didn't want to be a Knicks fan. I'd rather jump off a cliff. But
I feel you.
so I was like, all right, well, llisten, there's a new team in town. It's time for me to hop on.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think
like
a big part of my reason for I am a Nets fan, and I think my big part of or big reasons for me being a Nets fan is because Will and my dad would always go to Nets games when Isaiah Whitehead, Shane Larkin, and Brooke Lopez were
the
leading
squad.
the 15th seed in the East, and I got $10 tickets to sneak down to the front to watch for 2.5 quarters. So I think that Will definitely started my, I don't even know,
Your
being
Nets
a fan
fandom?
of the Nets.
No, you can't even tell you.
I'm still.
But
I
let me
think I'm still. I think we need more clarity. I still don't know which team you like.
let me tell you
Does
this
this mean you like the Warriors at one point with D'Lo?
Well, I might buy a D'Lo Warriors jersey because that's pretty nice. That's a nice jersey.
It's
But let me
probably
say
on
this, though.
sale. He got
It
traded.
has to be. That's what Fanatics or something.
It's
it
kind
has
of
to be.
rare though. Could be rare.
Probably. That's what I'm saying. If I get it signed, I'll just call him. Maybe I'll go
AliExpress?
sign it. Yeah.
Get it off one of Will's
AliExpress,
Chinese
plenty of them.
websites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at DHgate AliExpress. Listen, bro, don't knock it, bro.
I've had some
Listen.
pretty good jerseys from there.
I won't. I got all
Kinda
my
nice little
NFL
size.
jerseys from China.
Listen, but Kyrie and KD though. Oh, I'm a Nets fan.
They're the best team in the league now. Okay, cool.
I don't know. I said, I say to me and Will's friends all the time, I think the Warriors are going to be very good this year. I think people are sleeping on the Warriors because of the injuries. I think they're going to come back. I said to Will, I think Western Conference Finals is Lakers Warriors. I think they're
What
gonna
do
be
you
that
see
good.
Golden State drafting?
Or do they draft?
Yeah, that's it. I was about
They
to say
could trade back.
they could trade
try and
back.
get
I
someone
don't
else.
see. I don't know how committed they are to Wiggins. So I think that affects a lot of what they do. But I think the smart choice
Would be Weissman.
would
They
just
need a
be-
center.
Would just be Wiseman. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that Willie Cauley-Stein experiment didn't work for very long, or didn't
No,
last for
no.
very long, I should say.
No,
I mean,
not
could
at
you
all.
see them trading their pick to Philly? I mean, there's been plenty of conversations with Embiid having issues like with Philly, with the organization, possibly wanting out. There's been plenty of
Yeah.
trade rumors. Could you see them trading their second pick to Philly for Embiid?
I mean, well, if they do that, then I think
Then
they've
it's
won.
over.
Then I think they've won the finals.
Yeah, I mean,
But I don't see Philly doing that just from the
he's
standpoint.
second overall pick.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody in this draft kind of matches Joel Embiid at this point. Like think about it like this: if they get rid of Joel Embiid, then they probably would just take Wiseman, and then it's like
You could also wait for next year. Maybe
it's
you
true
get a
too.
guy
Yeah,
like
it's true.
you could get a guy. I mean, Anthony
It's a good
Edwards is probably
class.
going to go to one, but
It is a good class. Yeah.
if he
you're
goes
right,
to
Steve,
two,
yeah.
like that's a guy who could stretch the floor for Simmons.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on what the Timberwolves do, because people are saying that they're going to take a guard, and being a D'Angelo Russell fan, that makes no sense to me.
D'Angelo
So,
Russell's about to be kicked out of town by two
that's
Ball
so
brothers.
sad.
About to lose
I feel-
minutes.
Different
I feel
sons
so
of
bad.
Lamar.
I feel so bad for him. It
Well,
really.
what if they take Edwards? He's a shooting guard,
Dude,
right?
That's still a problem in my opinion, but I don't know. But you're right. That would help.
I don't really see him as a primary guy.
D'Lo and a
true.
defensive-minded guard. He wants the
should-
ball running through
For the
be
number one
five-
overall pick,
It
defensive-minded
should be
guard.
5 D'Los. 5 D'Los.
Edwards is not a defensive.
Five
player.
D'Los, they all
That's
range
what
kind of like
Tommy
the.
wants, though. Tommy doesn't want anyone getting D'Lo's touches.
No, not at all.
Well,
What
like
do
a
you think they're going to do with
7-foot D'Lo.
Towns? Towns uses touches.
Just pick and rolls.
Listen, let me say
In
this
2K,
though,
buddy.
if the Timberwolves get Devin Booker and the three amigos get together, oh my God, that's gonna be crazy. I hope
For the
that
guard,
happens.
though.
Yeah, but D-Book's cool.
No, I'm just kidding.
He's a cool guy. I can't. I can't.
He's
hate
just a
on
cool
D-Book.
guy.
He's just a cool guy.
He's all right at basketball, but mainly.
Me and
He gets a
Will
pass.
and Will can attest to this. Me and Will did say that it would never happen in Brooklyn, but it would be sick if, like we talked about when D-Wo was in Brooklyn, we said it would be cool if like Brooklyn did something and got D-Book and Cat, because I just feel like they have such good chemistry already. So if they end up on a team anywhere, I feel like years to come, because we've already seen what Devin Booker can do in the bubble. Cat's had some rough teams around him. Last year they were going to be good, and then they just stunk the rest of the season. And then D'Lo's D'Lo, he's the best guard in the league, so I feel like it could all come together.
That's a stretch.
Whoa. You
I'm
just gonna
just
sneak
kidding.
that one in there?
But he's no, but like they're so all three of them have great individual talents, and they like each other. So
Besides
you put it all
defense.
together, I feel like. Well,
That's a-
Cat's good
Who's
on
defending
defense.
on that team?
I don't know, but
A
if you
Kogi,
put up if
that's
you put up
about
more
it.
points than the other guy, then
Orgy Dang.
Orgy
Boy.
Dang.
there you go.
Now that's a big three-prong.
Probably.
Well, I love that when I'm watching you and Tommy's talking, it's just like I feel like you've heard this conversation already. You already had this
Yeah, it happens
conversation, so
all
your
the time.
facial expressions are just like,
Yeah.
Our family hates us because like we only really say the same like 5 things every day back to each other, and one of them is
Yeah.
just like D'Lo's future on the Timberwolves.
Well,
Basically,
just
there's a
that,
whole lot of yelling.
I want to say back to the Warriors. We were talking a little bit about the number 2 pick, and we also touched on Wiggins there. What should they do with Wiggins? I mean, I saw this. This was kind of interesting. This is by NBA Buzz. They posted this on their Instagram page.
Our guy Mikey Domagala.
Yeah. So Andrew Wiggins averaged about 22 points per game in the NBA last year, and I guess this guy Ben Stenar said, "You people talk about him like he's the biggest bust in NBA history." His 21.8 points per game was more than Jimmy Butler, Kemba Walker, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray. I mean, there's a lot of names: Nikola Jokic, Paul George, Lowry. Yeah. So and I know that the biggest issue with Wiggins is that's all he does. All he does is score. What should the Warriors, or in your guys' opinions, what should they do with him? You package him with the number 2 pick? You keep him on there, try to make him work? I mean, they already tried that with D'Lo.
It's a big contract. You have Curry and Thompson coming back healthy. Those are the 1 and 2 guys. He's going to get a lot less touches. And, the points per game, comparing him to guys like Jimmy Butler and Kemba Walker, I mean, Jimmy Butler absolutely just led Miami to the finals, played almost every minute, and Kemba Walker's playing with guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He's getting less points because he's got 2 young guys like that who could score. I think it's not the best comparison, especially like with what I just said. You're going to have Curry, who's probably is the greatest scorer of all time. I mean, him and Thompson can shoot the lights out. He's going to get a lot less touches. So
if they don't, as a Harden guy, that hurts. But you say Curry's the greatest scorer of all time?
No, I said he might be.
Put on that hat. Put on that hat.
I said he is or he might be. I didn't say. Bro, you look like a bandwagon.
The pure frustration.
Just shove it in his face. Put on the hat.
Like you.
Put on the hat.
I think the Warriors should keep Andrew Wiggins. I mean, they clearly. And Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, so it doesn't really matter what position you put Kevin Durant on the floor. But when they had a 3-4 type of guy that could score the ball, obviously good things happened. And I think, Kevin Durant can kind of take over a game, which I think we saw him do in the finals when he hits that shot over LeBron, which kind of, like he always says, kind of validated that he earned it, because some people say he didn't earn his rings, and in his mind that earned it for him. And that's not what Andrew Wiggins is going to do. But when they have a 3 that can kind of stretch the floor, can shoot, can get you a bucket when he drives, I don't know. I just feel like, you have Curry, you have Thompson. Curry has shown when healthy and when he's on the floor that he can take over a game at any moment. So, if you have a 3 that's out there that can kind of stretch the floor, put the ball down, and then when the big moments come, basically everybody else just get the hell out of the way. While also putting in 20 a game, like you said, I don't think that hurts them in any way. And I think there's a lot of possibilities out there in free agency, like a Dwight Howard. And there's somebody else, I'm not remembering, but another big guy you can get in free agency to help you down low. I don't think you should sacrifice Wiggins for.
I mean, I think if they don't trade him off season or for a pick or like moving back or anything, I think they would stick with him, see how he plays in like a 20-25 game stretch with Curry and Thompson, see how they work, see what he does, and then maybe if it doesn't work out with 2 guys like that coming back, move on.
Yeah.
And if it does, obviously you keep him and you run with it.
If he equals what Harrison Barnes could do or gives you a little bit more than what Harrison Barnes could do, then it's a success. I know I've said I liked Harrison Barnes.
Most overpaid player ever.
No.
The Kings loved him too. Thought he was going to be the guy to bring him to the playoffs.
No, listen, I was clearly wrong about Harrison Barnes, but I'm being serious though. If he could do what Harrison Barnes did or do more for that Warriors team, that I don't think you should give up on him.
I mean, I hate to blow up this rational conversation, but in my opinion, Wiggins has got to go. That man's got to be on the next train out of San Francisco.
Oh my God.
I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer just because of his contract. I mean, that man is being paid the same money that basically Draymond is being paid, or like Klay Thompson. I don't think it's as much yearly because it's a supermax, but still, you package Wiggins, you send Wiggins to some team with cap space like the Knicks or whoever. You send him and the second overall pick.
We don't want him. Hell no.
Thank you. With the second overall pick, you wouldn't take Wiggins for the second overall pick?
No.
I mean,
yeah.
do we have to give up our 8th?
No, not at all.
Oh, then hell yeah.
I mean, maybe,
yeah.
maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
it's
gonna
different.
need like.
What are
I'm
you
gonna
trading
need
for that
probably-
though? Yeah.
I'm gonna need probably like
Kevin Knox. We'll
Kevin
give you Knox and Mitch
Frank. I'm gonna need
Robinson.
Frank.
Do the Warriors even want that though?
Yes,
No,
Frank will
definitely
run the
not.
Sean Livingston role. You need a bench. When Harrison Barnes was on the Warriors, their bench was great. You had Sean Livingston. You had
When
Davis,
Harrison
you
Barnes
had-
was on the Warriors and they won a title, they were playing banged up Cleveland. I think
That's true.
that's something else to take into consideration. Yeah, he can.
But they also won 82 games.
No, they won 82 games. They won every
All
game.
82.
I mean, they didn't win 82.
Wow.
They won
How?
73. They won 73.
Breaking on
They
the
won
Fourth
73.
Man podcast, the Warriors won 82 games and beat a bummed up Cleveland.
Hey,
in the
you know what I have to say to that?
And it
don't
was
mean a
all because
thing
of Leandro
without
When you
Barbosa.
got the ring.
the
It was
ring.
because of Barbosa.
That's true. Barbosa.
The Brazilian
Oh my
blur.
God.
Let me ask you this
Barbosa.
question. This is a more general sports question that I really wanted to ask. As I sit here and my phone dings and the Giants have now lost their lead to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I just would love if we could go around and maybe say our most painful experience as a sports fan.
Ooh, I have a lot of them.
I think Steven should lead us on that.
Steven has one hell of a story. I have heard this through the annals of history,
Oh,
but
Weird word to use there, but
interesting word.
that's a
choice.
word. Look
Yeah.
that out. That's a word.
Oh, I know it's a
Not
word.
saying.
It's a saying. It's a saying. It's a saying. Look up the saying. Steven, I would love to hear this story from your mouth. With
Uh,
the Saints hat on. I think we all know where this is going.
I'm a
I thought
very
it was gonna
big
be on the
Saints
Knicks.
fan.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
I've liked them forever, watching guys like Jonathan Vilma, Pierre Thomas, Deuce McAllister, Tracy Porter, guys like that, late
Wow.
2000s, early 2010s. I've always liked them, and obviously a guy like Drew Brees. So that's why I like him. I'm not a bandwagon. Let's
No,
just
you're
get
not,
that.
you're not a
out of the way.
bandwagon Saints fan.
No.
Absolutely not.
Uh,
Anyone who doesn't know Steven has been a Saints fan. since
Oh
birth.
no, Steven has
That's the
always
truth.
been a Saints
That's
fan.
the
Yeah.
truth.
I mean, I can't really pick one painful year. I mean, the last three have just been pressing to watch.
The last three.
Yeah, but what about you know what story I want you to tell?
2017 or 2018?
The one with Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, so 2018 NFC Championship game versus the Rams. That's obviously the big no PI call game. I'm in the city going to see a comedy show, and I see it happen, and I just lose it. I couldn't handle it. I
In the
couldn't
comedy
handle it.
show?
No, it was before it, but I was in the city, and I was me and my parents went to like a restaurant, and I just after
You
seeing
were-
2017 the Minneapolis Miracle, that train wreck, and then having to deal Marcus Williams, the guy's been playing his whole life, made it to the NFL, and
It's the NFL.
Can't make
it's
a
just
damn
convenient
tackle.
at that. It's just convenient at that time he forgets how to tackle.
Oh
No.
man.
Just wrap him up, tackle him in bounds, game over. You're playing
But-
the Eagles, but
And then
No.
the ref, who's been reffing his whole life, made it to the NFL.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Can't make the
and then
PI
and
call.
then 2018 comes and just more disbelief watching them not even call that. You kick a field goal, you take the lead, Rams drive back down, tie it, lose in overtime. It's just it sucks.
I can hear the pain coming out of your mouth.
Yeah,
so safe
that-
to say that comedy show was not that funny.
That was
No,
After
no,
that.
It wasn't worth it.
no
And then
doubt.
2019 last year, another 13-3 season. It's looking good. And then you lose to Minnesota, and the only guy who shows up is freaking Taysom Hill.
Guy's a
like,
beast though.
He is a
That guy's
beast, but
beast.
And what do
you
you do?
deserve
You pay him,
you deserve to lose when that's the only guy playing well. I mean,
turn around and pay
Respect.
him $7 million a year. Be a gadget player.
There you go.
Make your money.
What about you,
painful
Anthony?
3 years.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm interested to hear what your most painful sports.
Ooh,
Memories.
yeah, so it's definitely got a few in my head. I mean, being a Jets fan, it's already pretty painful being 0-8.
Yeah.
I want to say there's been some good moments as a fan. I mean, I like the Yankees, and I feel like 2009 was great, but after
Yeah.
that, there's been a lot of painful moments,
Yeah.
especially that I would say like the past couple of years with the Aroldis Chapman giving up walk-off home runs for us to lose the series. So glad you guys can relate on that. But
Yeah, that was
most painful moment has to do with the Jets. I'll name you probably have like 3 or 4 that are probably like a tie. I would say one is the butt fumble. Just watching that with a host of people that knew I was Jets fan on a big widescreen TV at Thanksgiving. I would say 2009 and 2010 going to back-to-back AFC championships, only to lose both of them.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest, or I should say the most painful one, was when, I guess this was a couple years ago, when Fitz was the quarterback. We had Decker and Marshall, and we had just beaten the Patriots. I think we just won our 10th game. We were 10-5. All we had to do was beat Buffalo to get into the playoffs. But for me, normally around the holidays, because my mom is Japanese, we'll go see family in Japan. So this has been crucial. I mean, I've already stayed up. This will be my second week staying up to like 3 a.m. just to watch this game. And I'm like, gotta watch it. We're going to make the playoffs, right? All we got to do is beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
They suck. Only to see Fitz throw like 3 picks or 4 picks and lose, and we're 10-6 and don't make the playoffs.
That was
not even that.
To watch. I remember watching that.
Didn't they lost? I know if they lost, like it wasn't even that. Didn't someone else have to win as well? Like 2 things had to happen for them to miss it, right?
No, yeah, I think we had to beat either we could beat Buffalo or someone had to lose, and I think it was the Steelers. I think they ended up winning their game.
And they won, yeah. I think
they had to lose to the Browns
or something.
Yeah.
I think it was. I almost want to say it was Cleveland. I know better. It wasn't that.
It was someone. I think you're right. It was the Steelers had to lose to somebody, and then they won. Or
I wanted to say it was the year that Cleveland they lost every single game, and Corey Coleman dropped that pass on 4th down to make a first, but I don't think it was that year. Either way, very disappointing.
You probably just named a Cleveland Browns fan. Most painful moment.
It was pretty crippling. I stayed up till 6 a.m. just to see my team not make the playoffs. So it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. Hopefully get about 25 more years of this.
I guess I can't complain.
And then they fired Gase.
Oh my gosh, that's painful. That's my most painful thing right now is that we can't fire our coach even though we're 0-8. I mean, how many games do we have to lose?
Yeah.
To keep your job.
For me,
not even that. They're not even going to get Lawrence because he's going to stay in college.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him at this point. Yeah.
He said at the beginning of the college football season, he's like, "This is my last year." Now this past week, he's like, "Oh, things happen."
Like, we'll see.
That basically means I'm not playing for the Jets.
Oh, it 100% means he's not playing for the Jets. He might as well just come out and say it.
He could either stay.
Maybe they'll fire Gase if he says that.
Yeah, he could either stay or he could pull an Eli, where he's just like, no, and then they figure something else out.
That's the most savage move in NFL draft history.
That'd be great. I would love to see that happen. That would be very entertaining to watch.
Gets traded to the Saints.
Yeah, there you go, Steven. There you go. For myself, I would say the most heartbreaking. Well, actually, I'll say this. So this is kind of more funny, but it was very upsetting to me. Was the day that Odell got traded from the Giants. I remember I was sitting in my living room with Will. I was watching something. I think it was like a Thursday or something. So I might have been watching a football game, or I think I just had the NFL Network on for.
We were watching something because I think it was like summer. So
yeah.
Anything going on.
So maybe I don't know. We were watching something and
like baseball or whatever.
Maybe. And I just remember Will like looked at me and was like something just happened, and I was like, okay. And I'm going about my day, and then he's like, no, like I think Odell just got traded, and I'm like, no, that doesn't because why would we trade Odell? Nobody was talking about it. Like, why would we trade Odell? I think it had come up, but like nobody thought we're gonna trade Odell. So then Will's like, who reported it? Will's like, so and so. I'm like, okay. I turn on the NFL Network, nothing's going on. Then like all of a sudden they're like, oh, breaking news, Odell we think just got traded. And I just remember like wanting to cry so bad. Like I just wanted to cry because we are just, like, that was just the guy. I think it's pretty obvious that we suck without him. So it was just so upsetting. I went to Dunkin' Donuts and I bought a dozen donuts.
I remember that.
And it was National Pancake Day. I had pancakes, which if you've had pancakes before, Pancakes are extremely filling.
Is that supposed
I
to
went.
be
Hold on.
something
Hold on.
that the
I
audience
What is a
struggle
pancake?
to relate
I
to?
went. I went to Dunkin'
If you had
Donuts.
pancakes,
Hold on. I got a dozen donuts. I ate 9 of them in one sitting. That is how depressed. If you know me, you know that food really controls my emotions. That's how depressed I was about trading Odell. Now on to my most heartbreaking moment. I would say my
That
most
wasn't it.
heartbreaking moment. No, that was just upsetting.
Were you upset that you?
That was just upsetting. My most
That was a
heartbreaking
donut
moment.
pancake story. That was
It
It was a great day to eat, but just emotionally, no.
What was the
Honestly, I would
return for
say
Odell?
what happened?
What was the return for Odell? Just real quickly.
It was
First round
Jabril
Peppers
Peppers,
and
which
Zeitler.
stability is a franchise.
oh my god,
Okay.
it was Jabril Peppers and like a pick or something. Which Jabril Peppers plays, he's not bad.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to. I didn't know what the pick
Yeah.
was, but go
No,
ahead.
yeah, no. I mean, they got something. I don't know. It was but Jabril Peppers and something else.
Okay.
My most heartbreaking was
They got
probably,
Lawrence out of that pick. Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, him too. Yeah. Was probably when I watched Victor Cruz tear his ACL or his Achilles.
Against the Eagles.
I remember I still have like a comforter that goes on like your bed, and it's just Victor Cruz like catching a pass or whatever. I got that when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I just loved Victor Cruz. He's probably my favorite Giant wide receiver ever. He was just so fun to watch. I remember I went my first football game. I went to MetLife with my dad, and they were playing the Saints, which when I was growing up, Drew Brees was my favorite quarterback. So that was like so cool for me to be there. I was like 10, 11 years old. And I just remember like seeing Victor Cruz do the salsa like right in front of us. That was like highlight of my life. And then so to see him get hurt, it was just like a great guy. You're never gonna get somebody like that back. And that hurt. That sucked. That definitely sucked.
That's someone I wish we got more of. I also remember him destroying the Jets in preseason, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
when he
that was where he
came
like,
onto the scene.
That's where he like started. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
That was
I
wearing,
don't even know who he was. He was wearing number
nobody knew who
3
he
in
was.
preseason.
Yep. Nobody knew who he was. That was the beginning. That was wild.
Will, you got a painful moment in sports history?
I mean, for me, it was probably when O.J. Simpson killed his wife.
Oh, you mean when you were still in the womb?
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, you know.
Oh my god.
You know,
Like what?
I just see we're running out of time here, but let me just say, honestly, it's probably recency bias, but when the Giants lost to New England, when Odell caught the touchdown,
Oh my god, yeah.
2 seconds, that was disgusting. That was terrible.
Gosh.
The Chapman home run to Altuve.
That was
But
bad.
even though,
Eating
but you know
midget.
what? That's whatever. You know, I don't know if they were cheating that year, but 2017, looking back on it, that's even more painful. The fact that they lost in Game 7.
The worst
but-
part is that Judge didn't even get the MVP award after they cheated. Altuve got it. That hurts
Yeah.
more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is painful.
No, I think honestly, there's a lot of pain, man. There's a lot of pain.
A lot of pain. A lot of pain. So also, so we don't end on a low point here, Steven, I know there's a charity or
there you go.
foundation that I wanted you to be able to talk about and kind of plug in here. If you want to do so.
Yeah, thanks. So me and some of my friends from our school, we started a 9/11 Memorial Foundation. It's called the Never Forgotten Foundation. You could find it on Instagram. That's what it is. It's called the Never Forgotten Foundation on Instagram. Just trying to raise money. You know, we have a memorial being built. Just bring attention to stuff like that. Do something nice.
That's awesome.
You know,
That's
appreciate
really cool,
people.
Steven.
Appreciate those people who lost their lives and who
Yeah.
risk their lives every day. So if you're willing to follow, it'd be great. Thank you. And now we'll be making t-shirts. We'll have fundraisers. So if you ever consider donating or just following is enough. So thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Sounds like following now is at a good time. You got a lot of interesting stuff coming in the way. So now would be a good time to follow. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tommy, do you have any charities you want to plug? Any charities you're working with?
Yeah, so you know, my Venmo is I think it's just Thomas Hanley. You know, it's always, you know, you're supporting a good cause, as you can see.
All that pain he
All the
suffered from
pain.
eating all
All
those
those
donuts and
donuts.
pancakes.
The
Yeah,
donuts,
I'm
the donut
gonna
money.
need some laxatives. So you know, just, you know, hit up my Venmo, you know where to find me. TommyDrain81 on Instagram. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I
don't know
love
what
it.
That is supposed to mean, but go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah, we're gonna move on from that. Hey, either way, I appreciate both of you guys hopping in. I'm glad we could do another one of these roundtables. These are always fun, and
Yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
having
Thank
me.
you for having me. Thank you.
my first one to be a part of. So
Yeah, it was
um,
fun.
yeah,
Thanks
glad
for
we were
having
able to
me.
do it. Talk about this, and hopefully we can do this again. You know, as we get closer to the Big 3 season, or even the Not in My House tournament reality show that's going to be happening in March.
There you go.
But
Not in my
that'd be
house.
cool.
appreciate you
my
guys.
house.
Oh my
Thank you.
appreciate you guys coming on, and we'll see you for the next episode.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.